especially if you were raised to believe that love must be earned, that your needs come last, or that being liked is the same as being safe. But part of unlearning those beliefs is realizing that your life doesn't improve by being more likable. It improves by being more aligned. You cannot build a life you're proud of by constantly abandoning yourself. You cannot heal by ignoring your own voice just to be accepted. The truth is, the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. And if you're always placing yourself last, don't be surprised when others do the same. Choosing yourself every time doesn't mean you don't make compromises. It means the compromises you make don't come at the cost of your core values. It means you don't give up your voice to keep a seat at someone else's table. It means you build your own table, even if you have to sit at it alone for a while. That loneliness, it won't last. Because when you fully embrace who you are, you start to attract people who match that same energy. People who see you, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you really are. And that's the kind of connection that doesn't require chasing or performing. It just exists, freely and fully. At the end of the day, choosing yourself is about trust. Trusting that you are enough. Trusting that you deserve better. And trusting that you can walk away from anything that asks you to compromise your worth. So when you're torn between being chosen by someone else or honoring who you are, always pick the latter. Because the moment you choose yourself is the moment your life begins to shift. And nothing is more powerful than a person who knows they're worthy without needing anyone else to confirm it. There's a moment in every journey where you realize the version of you that got you here can't carry you forward. The version of you that tolerated being overlooked. The version of you that said yes to stay liked. The version of you that chased validation instead of living in alignment. That version isn't bad. It was survival. It got you through a lot. But now it's your job to outgrow it. Letting go doesn't always mean walking away with anger or resentment. It can mean honoring something for what it taught you and still deciding it has no place in your future. It can mean loving someone deeply and still choosing distance because peace matters more than closeness. It can mean grieving a dream that no longer fits so you can make space for a purpose that does. Sometimes growth feels like loss before it feels like freedom. You'll miss the familiarity. You'll second guess yourself. You'll wonder if you made the right decision. But eventually space becomes clarity. Distance becomes healing. And the quiet that once felt uncomfortable becomes the foundation for something solid, something true. People often ask, how do I know it's time to let go? The answer is in the way it makes you feel. If it constantly drains you more than it feeds you, if it costs you your peace, your joy, your self-respect, then it's not aligned with your growth. If you're constantly shrinking yourself to fit, it's not meant for you anymore. If you have to beg for understanding, chase for attention, or explain your worth repeatedly, it's time to release it. Growth is not passive. It's a choice you make every day to stop settling, to stop clinging, to stop making excuses for what no longer belongs. And each time you choose to let go, you return a piece of yourself back to yourself. You say, I matter more than what I'm afraid to lose. Letting go is not failure. It's strength. It's maturity. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to hold on to what's breaking me just to avoid being alone. In fact, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not in bitterness, but in boldness. Not to punish anyone else, but to protect your own becoming. Growth will cost you some comfort. It will stretch you. It will ask you to loosen your grip on what's familiar. But in return, it gives you something priceless. Alignment, peace, clarity, and the unshakable joy of becoming who you were always meant to be. You don't get what you deserve in life. You get what you settle for. And that might sound harsh, but it's empowering because it means you have the ability to change the dynamic. You're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of how others choose to act. You are responsible for your own boundaries, your own standards, and your own voice. The moment you start speaking up, things shift. Yes, some people may leave when you stop tolerating their behavior, but they're not losses. They're lessons. Every person who exits when you enforce your worth is clearing space for someone who will respect it. And the more consistently you uphold your standards, the less energy you waste on people who don't meet them. Teaching people how to treat you isn't about control. It's about clarity. It's about showing up fully in your own life and expecting others to do the same. It's about holding space for mutual respect, not one-sided effort. And it starts with one powerful truth. You are allowed to choose who has access to you. So take a step back. Look at the patterns in your relationships. What are you allowing that doesn't align with your values? What have you normalized that actually hurts you? Then start changing the lesson. Because when you raise the standard, you don't just teach others how to treat you, you remind yourself that you are always worthy of more. That's where you lose power. When you start interpreting silence as a puzzle to solve instead of a message to receive, you abandon your own clarity. You trade your intuition for fantasy. You ignore how you feel to protect a version of someone that doesn't actually exist in the present. But here's the truth. People who care communicate. Even when they're not sure what to say. Even when they're hurting. Caring creates connection, not distance. You should not have to beg for presence, explanation, or effort. You shouldn't feel like silence is your fault to fix. When someone chooses silence, let that speak for them. Let it say what they want. And let it guide your next move, not in anger, but in self-respect. Because silence, when honored for what it is, can become a boundary. It can become the closure you were waiting to hear in words. Your peace begins when you stop interpreting silence as a challenge and start accepting it as information. Let silence be your answer. Let it be the turning point that brings you back to yourself. Because the longer you wait for noise from someone who's already quiet, the more you quiet your own voice. You deserve presence. You deserve honesty. You deserve to be met with words and actions that reflect care, not doubt. So when silence comes, don't fill it with hope, fill it with truth, and move accordingly. It's easy to confuse attention with affection. After all, in a world where everyone is busy, distracted, and often self-absorbed, someone noticing us, liking our post, sending a late-night text, remembering something we said feels meaningful. It feels like care, but attention is not the same as affection, and mistaking one for the other can trap us in painful one-sided relationships. Attention is momentary. It can be driven by boredom, convenience, curiosity, or even control. It doesn't require depth, commitment, or intention. Someone can give you attention and still not care about you. They can show up when it suits them, say the right things in the moment, and disappear just as quickly. It's inconsistent, often unpredictable, and leaves you questioning what it meant. That's because attention is about them. It serves their needs. Affection, on the other hand, is intentional. It's not loud or dramatic. It's steady. It shows up even when it's not easy or convenient. Affection means thinking about someone's well-being, caring about their growth, protecting their heart. It doesn't vanish when someone is busy or moody. It doesn't thrive on mystery. It builds trust. The confusion between attention and affection often begins when we haven't built a strong foundation of self-worth. When we're unsure of our value, we grasp onto any sign that someone sees us. We think they replied, they noticed, they came back. But just because someone returns doesn't mean they've changed or that they ever genuinely cared. Sometimes they just miss the attention you gave them. We live in a culture that rewards attention. It's easy to be seen and still feel invisible. Social media floods us with likes and comments, but none of that guarantees connection. You can be the center of attention and still feel deeply alone. Why? Because affection is about being understood, not just noticed. It's about presence, not performance. There's a danger in building relationships on attention. You end up constantly performing, overthinking your responses, analyzing their texts, and chasing validation. You begin to question your worth every time the attention fades. You start to believe that you must keep earning love with effort by saying the right things, being available, staying agreeable, even if it drains you. That's the trap. Attention is addictive because it feels good in the short term, but it's not sustainable. It keeps you stuck in cycles of confusion, highs when they show up, lows when they disappear. You get caught in the thrill of being seen rather than the safety of being valued. True affection brings peace, not anxiety. It doesn't make you question your place. It doesn't thrive on power games or emotional breadcrumbs. When someone truly cares, you feel it in their consistency, in how they show up when it matters, in the way they respect your time, your energy, your emotions. Affection communicates, I'm here, not because I want something from you, but because I care about you. So how do you begin to tell the difference? Start by watching what people do, not just what they say. Words are easy. Actions tell the truth. Does this person show up only when it's convenient? Do they invest in you emotionally or only when they need attention themselves? Do you feel grounded with them or constantly off balance? And perhaps, most importantly, turn the mirror inward. Ask yourself why attention feels so important. What void is it trying to fill? Often, the longing for attention masks a deeper need to feel loved, worthy, safe. And while those needs are valid, they cannot be permanently filled by anyone else. Not unless you first anchor into the truth that you are already enough. The moment you realize attention is an affection, you stop chasing empty validation. You stop falling for mixed signals. You begin to protect your energy and reserve your heart for those who show real care, not just interest, because you deserve more than being noticed. You deserve to be cherished. It's painful, but it's powerful. When you stop chasing people who ignore you, you start attracting people who respect you. You trade confusion for clarity, insecurity for self-worth, neediness for peace. And peace always feels lonely at first until you realize how heavy chasing was. So pause. Come back to yourself. Not everyone will see your value, and that's okay. But don't let the ones who can't see you make you blind to your own worth. You don't have to chase. You have to choose yourself. Every single... When you chase someone who continually ignores you, you are not just trying to win their attention, you are betraying yourself. It's easy to mistake persistence for strength, to tell ourselves that if we just try a little harder, wait a little longer, or say the perfect thing, maybe they'll come around, maybe they'll see us. But the truth is, every step you take towards someone who is walking away is a step away from your own dignity. Self-abandonment is subtle. It doesn't always show up in loud ways. Sometimes it looks like sending that one extra message after hours of silence. Sometimes it's rationalizing their behavior, telling yourself they're just busy, when deep down you know it's something else. It's hoping they'll change, while slowly shrinking yourself in the process. We often chase people because we're desperate to feel worthy. If they respond, it feels like proof. I matter. I'm good enough. I'm not forgettable. Their attention becomes the currency for our self-esteem. But that kind of worth is fragile. It doesn't belong to us. It depends entirely on whether someone else is willing to validate it. That's not self-worth. That's emotional dependency, dressed up as love. The painful part is that many of us learned early in life that love must be earned. Maybe you had to prove yourself to a parent or constantly work for approval from teachers, coaches, or friends. So now as adults, when someone pulls away, it activates that old belief, I must not be enough. But maybe if I do more, I can become enough. That's the trap. That's where self-abandonment begins. You start compromising your values. You become overly available. You tolerate disrespect or indifference. You silence your needs to maintain the connection, even when the connection is barely alive. And in doing so, you begin to lose sight of who you are. You betray your boundaries just to be chosen by someone who wouldn't even meet you halfway. But here's the hard truth. Love that must be chased is not love at all. It's survival disguised as devotion. There's a difference between healthy effort and self-erasure. In real relationships, whether friendships or romantic, both people show up. Both people communicate, care, and contribute. It's not one person doing the work while the other disappears. When someone truly values you, they don't need to be chased. They don't need to be convinced. And when someone ignores you repeatedly, that's not confusion. It's clarity. Learning to stop chasing isn't about giving up. It's about waking up. It's about recognizing when your effort becomes a form of self-harm. It's about realizing that peace should never come at the cost of your worth. The moment you feel like you have to prove you're enough is the moment you need to pause and return to yourself. Ask yourself, why do I need this person's approval so badly? What am I hoping their attention will give me? Because often, what we're really chasing is a feeling of being loved, seen, or accepted. But no amount of attention from the wrong person will ever give you what you're missing from within. When you stop abandoning yourself to win others, you begin to attract people who see your value without needing to be reminded. You no longer mold yourself to fit into their life. You build a life where you belong fully as you are. And yes, walking away from someone you've been chasing can feel like loss. But in reality, it's the beginning of self-respect. You're not losing them, you're reclaiming yourself. You're finally saying, my peace matters more than your approval. My dignity is worth more than your attention. And that choice, though quiet, is one of the loudest forms of self-love.